Well, it's winter, it's cold, it's been raining, but fish are always feeding. So what I'm going to show you is how I fish a commercial fishery for silverfish. Commercial silverfish fishing does not get any better than that. I have two simple plans when I'm fishing. In the summer, I like to start long, finish short. In other words, you start maybe to an island or the open water, finish in the side. But in the winter, it's completely different. You start short and usually you've got to finish long. The fish back off, they don't want to feed, so they back off a little bit more. So your short line might be 10, 11 metres, but you can bet your bottom dollar that through the day the fish will back off if they don't want to feed, and you've got to follow and find the fish. I've plumbed up here at Sykehouse Fisheries already, and it's very deep, which is good, I think, for winter fishing. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to start probably on my pole at 13 metres, and I'm going to work and try and find the fish around there. And if I can't find them early at that place, I'm going to fish a little feeder, probably 20 metres, just past it, try and draw some fish in, and hopefully the fish then will move on to my ground bait. But I'm always wary of, if I don't get a few bites, I might have to put another section on, just go past the ground bait that I'm going to put in, the base that I'm going to put in, because that's what happens in the winter. The fish back off feed, and you've got to find the fish and follow the fish. So how am I going to approach it? Well, the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to mix some ground bait. And why am I mixing ground bait in winter? Simple, skimmers. I want the skimmers to come over at my bed of ground bait. And if I put loose feed in, it's not always the best. But I've heard that I can put ground bait in. In the summer, I like a strong fish meal based ground bait. But in the winter, when it's cold, I don't want that fish meal. You want a low key ground bait. My favourite one's that one, the F1 Dark. It's a black ground bait, so it's going to be on the bottom with not a lot of feed content, and I think the fish are comfortable coming over and swimming over it to pick up your loose offerings that you're going to put in. So what loose offerings am I going to put in? In the winter, I'd probably always feed the micros. I might put a big 2-in-1 on the hook to try it, especially if I start catching some bigger bream, but my feed, I want it 2-in-1 micros. Remember, the fish don't need a lot of feed, you only need a little bit. So all I've done, I've mixed my ground bait, and I've got a sprinkling of the micros 2-in-1s straight out the bag. You don't have to soak them. And I know with that balance of that ground bait and these 2-in-1 micros, the fish will come in, they'll home over it, and be very comfortable. I know that from experience, that it works with skimmers and it works with roach. And just remember this, in the winter, you can kill your peg in the first cast by putting too much bait in. You can kill your peg for the rest of the day. Now, winter fishing, right, is difficult at best of times. Location of fish, the water goes clear. When the water goes clear, okay, the fish don't feed the same. They back off and they shoal up and everything like that. And it doesn't tell when you've got two plant pots or take it behind camera running up and down all day, chasing all the fish. No wonder fish keep moving further. But that's what happens. So when you're fishing it winter and you're walking about, you'll just scare your peg. You'll scare other people's peg. It's the worst thing you can do in the winter. It really is. Nice fish, these. Look at that. That's 4 ounce, that. Look at that. Well, come here. Let's try to get away. And that is a little 4 ounce roach, and lovely fishing. I don't always use them in summer, but in winter I'll always have my pole support up. It does 2 reasons. One, if you're feeding it, you can feed to the same spot all the time. Your accuracy is fantastic. So if I get a ball of ground bait and I go like that, and you can see that it's full of 2-in-1s, I can put that in and I ship it out nice and steady. When I get to the pole support where I'm going to hold it, put it in your box on your thing and put it on your pole support, pick the target that you're going to aim to and just tip it over on that spot. And just take your time and do it nice and steady. That's all you've got to do. It's exactly where I want it. So that when I'm fishing, and I pick my rig up to fish and I put the bait on. When I ship it out and I know the spot that I'm going to be fishing, I know the exact line, and all I'm going to do then is put my Olivet on the spot, and I'm going to put the float exactly where that ground bait or that bait went in. I'm going to put it down, I'm going to lower it down like that. When it settles, I can put it on the bar, and you can either take your hands off or you can just sit like that. But it does two things. One, it puts your bait on the bait that you've fed exactly where it is. But most importantly, in my opinion, your float doesn't move. How many times have you sat there and you thought, oh, my float's moved off my line? It's moved off your bait, it's moved away. And if your bait's moving, you won't catch a fish. You won't catch a fish. So by having it on a pole support, your float and your bait will be stood exactly over your bait. Trust me, you'll get better presentation, you'll get more bites, and you'll catch more fish. So what I'm going to do on the pole, I'm going to fish long. I'm going to fish 13 metres to start with. That's going to be my starting line. I've plumbed up and it's about 11 to 12 foot deep. It's very deep, it's quite a deep fishery. And wherever I've plumbed up to 6 metres, it's the same depth. So it's like a snooker table, to be honest with you. So I don't know whether that's the normal procedure in the lake or I just got lucky, I don't know. But basically one rig does all. But does it? I'm setting one at a gram and one at 1.5 grams, just in case the wind gets up. But it's all about the depth. Would I set a gram up if it was 6 foot deep? No, I wouldn't. It would be a little bit less. But all I try and do is fish the size of the float to the conditions that allows you to do it. Silverfish feed differently to carp, especially roach and skimmers, because most fish come in, pick your bait up and swim off. Carp come in and they suck it all up. It's a bit different. When I'm fishing for silvers, I want the bottom 2 foot, the bait falling through, and I want my hook bait to fall through it, because I'll catch more fish. So my bulk in this case is 2 foot above my hook. And in that 2 foot then I have 3 number 10 droppers. Anything above 3/4 gram I always have an Olivet on. So I am not putting too many shot on the line. And I know when that Olivet settles, that then is going to fall through with them 3 droppers. I'm going to fish 2 inches over depth because it's the winter, and it'll fall and just rest on the bottom. And with silverfish fishing, that's what I try and do, is make the bait work in the last 2 foot. It's winter. You've got to fish things a bit finer. You can fish a bit finer because the fish don't fight as hard. And remember, we're fishing for silvers as well. So my setup, my hook length, is going to be a F1 at size 18. And it's going to be tied to an 010 bottom. It's as simple as that. 010 to an 18, you won't go far wrong. Sometimes if you're fishing for a few fish, you might have to scale down to a 20 and you might have to put like an 08 on or something like that. But when you're fishing for skimmers and you're fishing for a fuel bream, you want something with a little bit more give. So I use 010 to a size 18 hook. My main line's 014. So my main line's 14, my hook length is going to be 010. But because I'm fishing nice and fine and I'm fishing for silvers, the elastic comes into play, because all I'm going to use is like a 4-6 elastic, which is yellow zip. I quite like that, a number 6 elastic. Because it's hollow, it makes it a bit softer, so you can get away with it a bit better. If it were a 6 hard, it might be a little bit too much, but because it's a 6 soft, it stretches a little bit better. And that's my simple setup. It's as simple as that, really. The light, especially in the winter, can be very deceiving because of the sun being low. Sometimes it's behind you, sometimes it's in front of you, and sometimes a nice bright orange tip is perfect. But sometimes you can't see it, no matter what the light's like. When the water is flat and there's no shadows or anything on it, the best colour is black. All I do is get your float and just blacken it off basically, and you won't believe the difference from seeing that and not being able to see an orange some days. One of the great things about commercial silverfish fishing is usually a lot of carp as well in the place. They don't always feed it winter, but sometimes when they're in the peg it's hard to catch silvers. And like today, I've caught some silvers and it goes dead quiet, and you know that there's something in your peg. Because you've got a number 6 elastic in, when you hook a carp it takes a while to get out. Now, a lot of people who silverfish, they don't use puller bungs and puller kits for this kind of thing. So sometimes when you get a big one like what I've got at the moment, what I'm doing now, I'm going to put, because I won't be able to net it, the next section in, a number 5, which will, what I can do then, I can net the fish. So all I'm doing is adding an extra section because of the elastic number 6 is stretching so much, and then I can work my way up like that, and what it's doing, it's going to get the fish to the top quicker, and hopefully I can net it. That's brought it to the top because I'm over the fish now. And of course, pleasure fishing, it's great fun, but in matches when they're not allowed, it's so frustrating. So you want to get them out of your peg as quick as you can. So you're looking for things like puller kits, extra section pulling on so you can shorten the elastic and do it that way. Oh, that was my chance. Bad angling. Bad angling. The bad angling police were out then. There you go. Yellow Fjuka. Hey. Hey up, Mac, little skimmer. Right, what we've done is we've come shorter. And the reason why we've come shorter is because the far line, the 13 metre line, has become solid with carp, which happens at winter sometime. But what I've also done on the far line, the 13 metre line, I've put a couple of balls of ground bait with 2-in-1 micros. 2 reasons. One, hopefully it'll keep the carp out there because I don't want them coming on this line. And secondly, they might go and skimmers will rest on it. So I've come short at about 7 metres, which is the same depth, and I've been loose feeding 2-in-1 micros over that, and we've come on it, we started catching roach and hybrids and nodfish. Because I'm after that type of species, I want the bait falling through the water, and I've started catching roach and hybrids, and it's nice fishing, to be honest with you. Oh, look at that nice little Janey roach there, look. There we go. Oh, look at that nice 4-6 ounce roach and a little white Fjuka. Little Janey roaches, them. Little Janeys. So I bet you're wondering why I'm calling them Janeys. Well, when we were kids at school, there were a young lady in our class and they called her Jane Roach, that were her name. So every roach we ever caught as kids, we called them Janeys. So if you ever hear me say I've had 5 Janeys, I've caught 5 roach. And that's how they got the name Janeys, because there were a young lass in our class called Janey Roach. No, I know who she is. That's not her name now. She married one of my mates. Dave Pegg. She married one of my mates, Jack Pike. Yeah. Yeah, she married one of my mates. Well, at the moment it's solid with roach and little hybrids, an odd little skimmer. But on this short line now, it's absolutely crackers. But in my head, I'm conscious of these skimmers coming along. Now, I've been pestered with carp on that long line, and that's why I've had to come on the short line, but I'm definitely going to have a little go because it's nearly skimmer o'clock at the moment. And what I've got to hope is that them carp have moved and skimmers have moved in. But if you're going to catch any skimmers, it's going to be in the last hour. What you've got to do is be ready for that last hour. In other words, Get your pole rollers right, get your setup right, get your bait right, get your feeding right out there, get yourself organised. There's nothing worse than striking to a fish, go like that, your roller falls over. Take extra care. If you're not catching, make sure everything's ready and organised for that last hour. All right. Well, just like we said, I thought it might be last hour at day. That's typical skimmer time. And them carp have gone, but they're moved in up ground bait now. We've had a couple of skimmers, and this is another one. Oh yeah, look at that, £1.50. White Fjuka, get in there. I've not seen these all day. I've caught roach and hybrids, and I've not seen a skimmer until last hour. But they've moved in on that ground bait and the micros as I put down at start, and I'm catching skimmers now between £1 and £2. It's been lovely fishing. So I've caught roach, hybrids, short line, and some nice skimmers and carp on the far line. Well, that's a fantastic day. Commercial silverfish fishing, it don't get any better than that. Caught skimmers, hybrids, roach, caught 2 carp, and that's the problem sometimes when you're fishing long. The carp moved in and I got 2 of them, and then eventually they went, and I caught these big skimmers on long line. The best bait today were the micros, the white and the yellow ones. I couldn't really make my mind up between the two, so I kept alternating them. That is a fantastic day's fishing. There you go, my little beauties. Look at them.
Big smile.
Fjuka!